going to stream this conversation. All right, we are having a sonic streaming conversation. Today we're talking about recommendations, both good and bad. So bad advice and good advice. And what's the difference between the two? Oh man, Ian, you could open up a can of worms. There's probably no other realm wrought with bad advice. But there's also no other realm more dynamic and fruitful for mentorship than family. So, you choose. Start with the good or the bad. Talk about recommendations in the arena of family.
When it comes to family, people have to decide how they want to parent, how they want to be a child, how they want to be a child as they become older. Right? At 40 years old, I have to make a decision. What kind of child to my parents, now in their late 60s, do I want to be? And as my kids are now getting to become individuals at 8 and 12 years old, I have to decide how am I going to parent them as they become more and more independent of me. Rather than talk about specifics, I think I'm just going to talk about some general things around family. I think the best advice and the worst advice have to do with being overly involved with your family, in the sense that if you're a parent, the worst advice that I've heard given is protect your kids, coddle your kids, go fight battles for your kids, go take care of that for your kids. Your kid's crying, go find out what's wrong. That kid just pushed your kid in the sandbox. Go take it. Like anything around that, I think is the absolute worst advice. That's not how the world works. Every single individual, if possible, needs to take care of themselves. And so the worst advice I've heard around family is when a parent is told to go care for their child in a way that basically turns their child into a trust fund emotional baby. Maybe not financial trust fund baby, but an emotional trust fund baby. That is the worst advice. The best advice is a parent telling a child, in my opinion, just my opinion, is a parent telling a child, why are you coming to me with this problem? I didn't create the problem. I can't really solve the problem. If you just need to be heard, go ahead. I'll listen. I'll actively listen. I'll make sure that you know I hear your problem, but I will not solve your problem. If you don't like the way the person is treating you, you deal with them. You walk away from it. You tell them to stop. You disengage from it. If you don't like this, hardship you're facing, then you need to overcome it on your own. I'm not going to overcome it for you. Of course, there should be compassion and empathy, and also I think parents should step in when it is appropriate. But I think a lot of my concern around recommendations in family is the back recommendation of a parent being told to intervene with their kids, and the great recommendations of parents telling their children, I will not intervene, rescue you, save you, make things happen for you, in general, not specific, right? So those are the recommendations that rise to the top for me, because I think those are my greatest concerns for me as a parent, for my children, and for my peers, other parents that are my age with kids my age, and for my boys' friends, right? These are the things that I've really been concerned about, because I feel like we live in a culture that fosters coddling and overbearing and protecting our kids from every bump and scratch and nick and bruise, emotionally and physically. So those are my thoughts on this topic. What do you think, Teddy?
Good. I love it. I basically entirely agree. But what immediately came to mind in both of the examples you chose is you have a parent at a playground with their child at a playground, and like the parent being at the playground with the child at the playground, they're present. And then you had another example of a child coming to the parent and complaining, wanting them to intervene, and the parent saying, I'll listen, but I'm going to empower you or try to encourage you. You've got to solve your own problem. Keep the monkeys on your back. both of those were examples where the child had the parent nearby and could go. And I think that's so important, and it's so easy to err one way or the other, but being present. So I think of times where I implemented the advice like I was great of keeping the monkeys on their back, but I sure could have done a lot better job of being present. I mean, I was present. I took the kids to the playground. Was able to bring them along with me. But if there's something I could have done better, is to be more present, more engaged there at the moment, not distracted. So it's like everything. It's balance. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll end with just a couple quick things, then we'll bring the guys back in and wrap it up. If a child's dealing with homework problems, a bad recommendation would be, we'll just do the project for them. A good recommendation would be, tell your child that it's their responsibility and that you're present by their side to support them doing all the work on their own. If a child comes to you with video games and they're pissed because they can't beat a level, or they're angry because they keep facing the same challenge and they take 2 minutes or 22 minutes to get to a point and then they die and they have to start over again and they just can't do it, they just can't do it, they just can't do it. A bad recommendation would be grab the video game and beat the level for them and hand it to them and give them an example that, like, every time something's hard, don't worry, I'll be there to rescue you. Your recommendation is, let me sit next to you and watch you and I'll try to coach you through it, but if you can't pass this level, then you're just not good enough to get to the next stage. So we have to decide how we're going to parent, and young people need to decide if they're going to turn to their boss or their parent. We're talking families, so parent in this, or their uncle or their auntie or their grandma or their grandpa, and be like, rescue me. I don't want to do the homework. I can't beat the video game level. And then it gets to greater things, like the way we deal with finances or relationships. And so I just think that less intervention is oftentimes best in family. And overbearing intervention can result in a negative consequence.
yeah, that's so good. I love it.
We'll wrap it there.
Yeah, let's wrap it there.
The garbage truck coming up. I live in a treehouse and there's still garbage man coming to pick up the trash.
That's awesome.
Like
I was laughing about the video game
right there, everybody.
Because there is no scenario in which I could grab a video console from my kids and help them advance to the next level. No. I would be calling them in and say, I'm frustrated. I can't get to the next level. Help me. All right.
If you come back in, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. And for those that listened through Attention Live on YouTube or the Amazon Echo, thanks for your attention. If you hear the archive, we appreciate you tuning in.
Wow, that was
up my screen. Go ahead.
That was really good. I could feel the excitement. Get some people going. I know you felt proud of yourself because I felt like, wow, that was very succinct. You gave real life examples, which I love so much. Yeah, you gave the roadmap. I love it. It's awesome.
It's something I've had to learn, because I think naturally we live in a culture that tells us to coddle our entrepreneur in residence, our child, our niece, our nephew, our Padawan, right? We live in a culture that says, do everything so that everybody that you're leading likes you. I just don't think that's best for the people we lead. I think we need to make them responsible for their own life so that they are set up for success when you're not there for the long term. So, easier said than done. I think the easiest thing is to go in and rescue people and save the day and be the hero. And that's right, you can't do it without me. So it's to fight that savior complex, right? I'm not your savior. I'm not your hero. You've got to figure it out without me jumping in. Everybody that's on YouTube, if you're watching live, thank you for your attention, for your time. We hope that you've gotten value from this conversation. If you watched the archive, I'm glad you found it. If you've gotten to this point, don't forget to go back to the first interview and listen to what Gabe said in the 3 or so minutes when he answered the question about recommendations around entrepreneurship and his insights on some of the recommendations that are common and the way it made him feel and the way that he's navigating these tricky topics of being competitive, being confident, but not trying to dominate people, beat everybody, take advantage of people, and that difficult balance. We'll be back again on Tuesday. I'll be in Puerto Rico. Maybe I'll be in Puerto Rico because I'll probably take a photo again, and it'll look like we're all in Puerto Rico. We'll have to see what that looks like.
So I'm going to Puerto Rico.
One of us will definitely be in Puerto Rico. All right, everybody. Until next time.
All right. See y'all.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the live stream is over.
All right. Let me end this live stream on the Tension Line.
That's why when Ted, you lost